Hello cave dwellers! Game controllers, no matter how accurate the emulation is, the wrong controller can ruin the entire experience. Marble Madness on a mouse, California Games on an Xbox controller, Turrican on a PlayStation pad. Sure, it all works, but it just doesn't feel right. Proprietary connectors like those found on Sony pads will need their own adapter. But there's one connector that spans many systems and also covers my favourite joystick, the good old Competition Pro. And that is the DB9 connector. If you can plug in the DB9 to your USB port, then you open up the world of Sega controllers, Amstrad, Atari, Amiga, Commodore 64 and hundreds of other control pads and joysticks. So I think I found a solution, and to test that out today we'll be using both the Competition Pro and the Sega Genesis / Megadrive pad. We want a simple plug and play solution that we can use across multiple emulators with these original devices which both share the same DB9 connector. So what do we find for you? Well, there's no shortage of cheap knockoff Chinese devices on eBay, but having had my fair share of bad experiences with dodgy eBay devices, I thought I'd spend just a couple of pounds more on the Mayflash Megadrive Genesis USB adapter. While it's specifically designed for the Megadrive, I have high hopes that this will work with any DB9 device. It also says it works with an Apple Mac, although we'll be demonstrating it on a Windows PC today. The first nice feature you'll see is that this supports up to 2 devices for multiplayer gaming. Your devices slot into the DB9 ports and then a USB plug goes straight into your PC. We'll try it with both devices, but let's start off with the Megadrive pad first and see how we get on with that one. Okay, so with the standard Windows game controller screen up here, we can see that no devices are detected. I haven't installed any drivers and we're just going to plug it straight in and see what happens. And sure enough, it's plug and play in every sense of the word. 2 new joysticks are detected, and we can go ahead and look at the properties and make sure that it's detecting the pad correctly. This being a Mayflash device, of course, it detects it as a hat, in much the same way we found with other Mayflash devices in the past. That's fine if your emulator allows you to map a point of view hat to your joystick movements, but there is a quick shortcut. With the Megadrive pad plugged in, you can hold down the start button and A for 3 seconds, and as you can see now, the pad movements are mapped to joystick movements rather than point of view hat movements. Our first emulator, Fusion, allows us to select the joystick, easily map the movements, and in very little time, with no drivers installed, you can see we are playing a Sega Megadrive game with an original pad, and as you would expect, it plays absolutely superbly. And this isn't just any game, this is Streets of Rage 2, so of course I spent a good 20 to 30 minutes testing it out and enjoying every minute of it. Top marks for the Mayflash adapter so far, but how does it cope with a non-Sega Megadrive DB9 device? Time then to plug in the Competition Pro and fire up a C64 emulator. Promisingly, Windows detected it in exactly the same way, only we have a problem. There's no start button, so we can't use the 3-second trick, and it's stuck as a point of view hat device. And so in the Vice emulator, my joystick had no effect whatsoever. The fix then is to use a free utility called Joy2Key, which allows you to map the point of view hat movements to key presses, and then in your emulator you can map those key presses to your joystick mappings. It sounds complicated, but it's really quite easy, as you can see. I mapped the numeric keys to the up, down, left, right movements and control as fire. I then used these keys for the joystick in my emulator, fired up Turrican, and the good memories came flooding back as this thing worked flawlessly with that interim step of the Joy2Key utility in place. All of the precision of the Competition Pro translated perfectly, and just like the Sega pad, I had a great time with this. So there you go, a non-Sega DB9 device does go into this Mayflash adapter. Using Joy2Key it works just fine, and in fact having that utility in place makes it compatible with pretty much any emulator that you can throw at it. You can use 2 devices at once, and after dusting them off you can resurrect those old joysticks and enjoy a much more authentic and complete emulation experience of your favourite system. I hope you found this useful. If you did, take a moment to vote, subscribe, come back and visit again, and thanks for watching, Cave Dwellers. Bye bye.